Heal to feel. Let's start this journey together. Hi guys, welcome back to Heal to Feel. Today I have my sexy co-star and co-host, star actually. You're a star and a celeb.
Oh my goodness.
Mercedes Javid, June.
She's so sweet. She never does this.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
You're so
Something
good.
happening?
And then we have such a special guest, Dr. Judy Rosenberg, who's a psychologist. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Liat.
We met years ago when I was kind of going through a hard time with my husband, and I was researching online actually, and we were talking about this earlier. The reason I was so drawn to finding Dr. Judy is I always thought, how do you do couples therapy and get anywhere when, okay, great, you're learning how to communicate, but like none of you have kind of decoded your childhood. I always say like you're married to each other's childhood until you do that. So when I found you online, it was called the Psychological Healing Center, and it's in Sherman Oaks in LA. And when I researched it, which you'll talk about in a few minutes, it was this whole thing about the mind map therapy, which is beautiful. And what I experience in the session with my husband is you have all these different, what do you call them? Like on the mind map therapy, what is each one called? Panels. And you go through your childhood and it kind of like, you see why, your spouse is the way they are. And so in that moment when they're getting triggered or they're reacting, it's not that it's okay, but it allows you to see it from a place of compassion versus a place of, I hate you, I want to throw something at your face.
Opposition.
Yeah. And so it's still not okay. And you put up the boundary, but you're sitting in there kind of seeing like, oh my God, I see your wound. And you're seeing them as a little kid. So for me, it really helped. And, I'd referred Jeff to you, and you came on Jeff Lewis Live with me a long time ago, which we were reminiscing about. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And let's dive in and then we'll ask questions. But I want you to differentiate, which is what drew me to you, was the mind map therapy. And you have this beautiful book, which we'll go over. It's called Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect. PhD, Dr. Judy Rosenberg.
Yeah.
So for people at home, tell us what the mind map theory is.
The mind map is basically a system that tracks childhood wounds, how we reacted to them, how we encoded them. Basically, people talk about negative core beliefs and belief systems. So all of our wounds lead to reactions and then we encode them. So that's the first phase of the process, encoding.
Okay.
And then the encoding is a bunch of garbage usually, really.
Give us like an example. What do we pick up?
Okay, we really like specific examples so that we can connect and hitch our ties to the thing.
Okay, so specifically, let's say you grew up in an environment where you were neglected. Okay, so it's not something that necessarily you hear, but it's something that you experience.
Now, neglect, that cannot be emotional and physical. It could be either or, it can be both.
Could be both.
Okay.
What if you think of like a latchkey kid? Is that a way of consider it neglect?
Very much so.
Yeah, or nobody was there for you emotionally.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you were in pain, parents weren't available. They didn't really get you. So what happens is you react to that, and what's reactions is basically our amygdala, which is our primitive fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So if we've been neglected, usually we will freeze, shut down. Okay, now comes the dirty part. Now we encode all of this, and the encoding usually sounds something like, I'm not important. I'll never be enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. Okay, so do you see that initial wound of neglect reacts and then encodes? And then here comes your new friend or your new lover, your new spouse or your boss or whoever. And what do? They will surely, in some form, because nobody's perfect, in some form, they will neglect you. Or at least you'll interpret it that way. And then trigger, trigger, trigger. It's almost like they push the lever, and then chaos, defenses, and breakdowns. So I'll go into that a little bit more. Okay. But I want to give another example of encoding. So here's a really simple one. Daddy calls you stupid. So reaction, maybe you feel shamed. Maybe you feel like you can't really flee. So again, you freeze. You freeze. What do you encode? You encode, oh, I'm stupid. But then here's how it really turns bad. So you think you're stupid, and then you become a living proof theorem of it. So you don't try hard, you don't really apply to schools, you just conclude, why should I? Why should I do my homework? I'm stupid. Why should I apply to a great school? I'm stupid. Why should I even bother to get a great job? I'm too stupid. Okay, so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the sad part. Okay, so here we go down the yellow brick road of the mind map. So we've got the wound, the reaction to the wound, and then how it's encoded. And then what happens out of that is life falls apart into chaos. So what is chaos? It's truly when we feel disconnected, we don't know north, south, east, west, we don't understand who our support system is, we're very discombobulated, okay? And we don't really have an encoding that guides us. So there's no guidance system. So what do we do when we're in chaos? Chaos could be financial chaos, it could be relationship chaos, it could be spiritual chaos, it could be sexual identity chaos, it could be any form of chaos. So basically, there are no rules in your life and you don't know what's up. So what do? You're in pain. Nobody likes to be in chaos. So they go into defense mechanisms. And there are millions of defense mechanisms. We're very smart and we figure out very creative ways to defend ourselves. Some people use drugs, some people use sex, some people use food, some people use the cell phone, some people use anything as a defense mechanism.
Is defense the same as survival? Is that what you're doing when you're in defense mode?
Yes, you're trying to survive, but the problem is that it locks you into a psychological prison. So it's good and bad. I don't feel the pain. However, I don't grow because all I do all day is sit around and eat or do drugs or drink or watch porn or whatever it is that your defense
anything
mechanism.
to numb it out. And we do live in kind of a society that's do anything not to feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your show,
Distract.
Heal to Feel, no, let's not feel.
Yeah.
And then we will not heal.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's not an opportunity for the healing.
And when we created the title, it was funny because it's like, heal to feel sounded good. But I was always like, but it's also feel to heal. It's for me, I think you need to feel first so you can heal, but it can be both. You can also heal and then start feeling. So it can kind of go both ways.
Yes. And the defense mechanisms prevent you from feeling anything because you just want to be in your comfort zone. However, when you're locked in jail too long or when the defenses start to blow, okay? For example, I'm just finishing a book that I'm writing called Kick It, Stop Smoking, and Be the Cause of Better Outcomes for Your Life. Cold turkey gradual withdrawal, so people have a choice. Smoking, defense mechanisms. So what do when you smoke too long, too much? Some people break down. What's that look like? Well, it could look like cancer. It could look like your kids saying, I have no more respect for you. You are role modeling something that is very inauthentic. I'm not going to learn from you. You don't sound like somebody wise to me. So breakdowns happen in many forms. Could be a car accident. You're smoking in the car. You're not watching. You flick some ashes on your clothes. It's burning a hole in your clothes. You look down, boom. Okay, so you see, this thing can get really ugly really fast. So a breakdown is also an opportunity to break through. You've heard the saying, right? An alcoholic who has hit bottom, and then they end up at the hospital, and then they go through detox, and then they're spiritually reformed. Next thing, they're going to AA meetings and letting go and letting God. Okay, so that would be a breakthrough, for example. Or another breakthrough might be, I just can't eat that way anymore because now I have diabetes. So what's your choice? Keep eating that way and lose a limb, lose your eyesight, or break through? Okay, so everything is really an opportunity.
I love that.
Thank you.
So your book, Be the Cause,
Uh-huh.
how did that come about? And what is the kind of premise of that book?
Okay, so this has a long history that started in 2002 when I was studying at the Kabbalah Center on Robertson Boulevard.
Oh, I didn't know you. Did I know that you studied Kabbalah?
I think so.
I'm a huge.
It's been a long time.
I love it. I
Yeah.
still follow it. I send MJ emails on it all the time.
Yeah, so I love the spiritual wisdom. Judy
it.
Rosenberg, I happen to be Jewish. And so I studied spiritual Judaism that I relate to more because I like systems. My brain works in systems gone right versus systems gone wrong.
Which, by the way, Kabbalah is not just like I've been to so many classes. It's all walks of life.
It really,
it came
really
before
is.
religion.
It really,
Yeah.
that's right. And that was
Yeah.
one of the things that attracted me, is that it is a system of healing. It's a system of thinking. And so when I was in class, we would go through creation, destruction, and reintegration. So I was inspired, I still am, I always will be, inspired to heal human and global disconnect. So I also love to do art. So I started doodling, like, how can I heal the world? That's a nice puzzle to solve. So I drew a grid, literally. I drew a square, divided it into threes, because my favorite number is 9 and 333, okay? So I put down creation, destruction, reintegration, because I heard that at the lecture in my Kabbalah class.
Wow.
And then I drew little pictures, creation. And then what happens the further we move away from the light.
Mm-hmm.
So when we move away from the light, whether it be our higher power, whether it be our authentic self, the truth, the further we move away from the light, the more we crack up. And we distort, and we get what I call a cracked lens of perception.
What are some examples of moving away from the light?
Okay, so if your light represents your family, okay, and your family's breaking down and you're not in integrity with your family, you're moving away from the light of your family, okay? If you're doing something that's out of authenticity to you, you're moving away from your authenticity. Okay, so it could be really anything, but moving away from your truth is going to crack you up. And then when you crack up, you start seeing things distorted, like a house of the circus, those weird distorted mirrors. You look in the mirror, you're too tall, you're too wide, you're cracked up, you're distorted. So life begins to look like that. And then you encode. I'm kind of going through the same process on a macro level now. And then you encode all kinds of things about the world. The world is unsafe. The world is like this or like that. And then you start breaking down your relationship with yourself, with your source, with your family, with your community, with the world. And then you fall into chaos. And now the defenses I'm using is a different metaphor. We become ismed. Okay? Ismed.
What does that mean?
Well, we become fractured as a united humanity. So no longer are we at one. We're no longer one soul. We've cracked up. And then we've ismed. So our isms look like American, Chinese, African, white, black, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, whatever. We're ismed. Okay, so nothing wrong with isms, because we all have the right to feel and belong and worship how we want. The problem is when we use one ism against the other. And that goes to Clash of the Isms. Okay, so now we're not playing a game of synergy. We're playing a game of competition, power and control versus connection and intimacy.
And
so
this
that
is throughout,
leads us. I'm sorry?
And this is throughout your life, right? I mean,
Totally.
It's just because when you're going to have something in your 20s that you didn't realize, and then you have one, then you go on in your 30s and 40s and 50s, and I'm excited to listen and learn, but I'm also so curious about these breakdowns that you have, and then we have our breakthrough, and then we still, and then you think you've got it, you think you've got your life figured out, and then there can be something else that could happen. And that's
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we break down and then we break through. And the light from my Kabbalah knowledge will challenge us with something bigger and deeper. Why? Because the light, if you're so inclined to think that way, wants us to be the light. So it'll break down our darkness. So if you pass the test on one item, don't rest too long.
Well, I give like Trevor the example. Like he used to get so mad when someone cut him off, and I'm like, bro, like just don't react, and the universe won't keep giving you the same test.
Exactly.
But it's interesting that you bring up Kabbalah, because I've been sending MJ some emails, and David Guillaume, who I love, he's the cousin of
I know David friend. And I love him.
Yeah. So David, I've been signed up for the last 30 days because we're in this like real awakening for these 30 days. And
you did that?
Yeah.
I should do it. Thank you for inspiring me.
So what he's saying, especially over the next few days, is he's saying that, if time's really an illusion, I want you to think about something that you weren't so proud of how you handled it.
Yes.
And if it's an illusion, go back, rewrite the history. How would you have reacted? How would you have acted? But then he goes, once you've done that, but careful what happens, because now the universe is going to test to see, have you really transformed? And he gave the example of, he walked in and he has 4 kids, and his 4-year-old was like, I don't like you, and wouldn't look at him. And he goes, I was so upset and hurt. And he's showing me, that little boy, what I have to heal. He goes, it triggered, like, he didn't know what he was saying. He was like young. He was just having a bad day. But he goes, he was showing me what is not healed. And so in these moments, especially these days, we're getting a lot of turmoil of kind of getting the same situation, maybe from the same person, maybe a different person, same situation. How are you going to react this time? And if you want to level up and you really want to transform, those are the hard lessons.
Right. I call them the what the Freuds.
Yeah, that's WTF.
I have a YouTube channel called Dr. Judy WTF, What the Freud.
Oh, that's so cute.
And what the Freud to me means the repetition cycle that I learned about through studying Sigmund Freud. And Kabbalah is talking about the same thing on a spiritual level. So we're going to be tested. And then if we pass the test, congratulations. But then we're going to be tested again. And we may do better, in which case we're not going to receive the message again, and that messenger will go away. But we're always going to be tested.
And the biggest thing you learn, like if you can take one thing away from Kabbalah, and this is what David says, and this is what he said, if I can teach my kids one thing, it's having certainty.
I knew you'd say that, because I listened, he was my teacher. And I listened to him through Mind Valley. And I also listened to him on YouTube. And
Yeah, so just having certainty that everything is placed there for your highest good. And the hardest thing to do where you really transform is in the time of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
He always wants you to say, like, what a pleasure, because like on the other side
100%.
is going to be the light.
That's the one that you texted me and I listened to over the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I send her David stuff all the time.
So I know we went quite macro, but it works the same way on a human individual scale.
Do you want to
So-
give an example? And Dr. Judy can
I
break
have
it
a
down.
million-
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's break it
I
down. 'Cause
wouldn't
I
even
think
know where
giving
to
an
start.
example is good for the audience.
Good.
Well, since you've started, my mind has gone to every decade of my life, and I have a mom that's really tough verbally. Yesterday, I called her to check in, and I had a lot of anxiety into going to the call, just to call her. I mean, you shouldn't, right? You should feel happy to call your mom, excited to make her day, and shed some beautiful news. And by the way, Kabbalah Center, I've been driving by it almost every day. I grew up in Beverly Hills and right there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, when and that coupled with, you already know I have the 6-year-old and I'm terrified not to repeat any negativity. In the beginning, you were talking about negative mapping and mindset, and
Yes.
my dad's not like that, so I feel like I grab his heart, like I got his heart.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also heard my mom's rhetoric in that, I'm stupid example.
Mhm.
So I think it's just, for me, how do you reconcile all of those things? You're driving down. I was driving on my way to work. It was a Sunday. I'm a real estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
She said something like, I think it was because we had the photo shoot for the new show, and the example that she gave when she like beat me down was something really dumb. I told her I was on my way to the open house and I was like, I forgot the pastries. And I say that I'm going to have refreshments served. So she's like, she has a fear of money thing, that Persian mentality of whatever. So she's like, you don't need to go and get anything. I'm like, no, I have time. I had 30 minutes. I had enough time. I'll go grab something from Pavilions. It's okay. And then I said, but I forgot. She's like, your memory, whatever pills you're taking, because it's ruining your memory. And I was like, Mom, I'm not taking pills. My mind was get from Calabasas to West Hollywood on the 101 on a Sunday. It's unpredictable. I was just thinking, get there early, set up your open houses. You have So
Okay.
I'm listing all of the things that I have to do to be at work this day, yesterday.
Right.
And then I felt that heavy negativity. And then I felt like my heart beating so fast, which it's happening again as we were talking about this. And I was just thinking, like, what a profoundly shitty feeling it is just to want to call her and say hi, and how much it makes me not want to call her and talk to her for even 5
And
or 15
this is
or 30
years
minutes.
of being broken down, no matter what. Even when we came to the studio, I don't like your lipstick, take it off. Like
same theme.
just same thing beating down. So it's like, of course, there's going to be anxiety. This is not a one isolated. It's just your whole life has been told you're not good enough.
And
So that's the theme. Okay, so let's mind map it. Okay.
Okay.
So you said that your father's different,
He passed away.
He's great.
Yeah,
but you internalized him differently.
Yep.
So what was that internalization?
Sweet, very kind, very positive, very angelic.
Okay, and your mother?
Demon.
Demon. Critical demon.
she's been on TV too, so people have seen it play out.
They kind of celebrate her personality for being like a tell it like it is.
People like the character of her, but like they're not experiencing.
But they like it because they're removed.
Yeah.
You're not removed, you're bonded. Okay, you're toxically bonded because we all are to our parents on whatever level. So the wound, as I'm seeing it, is the wounds of criticism. Okay, so she's not offering you support. She's definitely not calming down your amygdala, which is what mothers are supposed to do. I mean, after all, we're supposed to be the soothers of our children.
Right.
No, she's not doing that. So on top of wounding you, she's also activating your amygdala, and you're going into some level of fight-flight mode. Your heart is racing, and now you're starting to buy in, which you bought in because all children buy in. You know, if mommy says you're stupid, you're stupid. If mommy says you're a bad girl, you're a bad girl. If daddy says that you don't deserve anything, then you don't. There are gods. They're our source. Okay? By panel 3, you're already being triggered. So we're going from the wound, the insults, the verbal, okay, verbal abuse, let's call it, just for simplicity's sake. Reaction is fight, flight. You're trying to please her. You want to be in her favor, but the more you show her you and your failures, as she perceives them to be, the more panicked you are that she's not going to love you. Okay, so you're getting further and further away from connection. You call to connect, you're getting further and further away from connection. So by panel 3, your unconscious or conscious or both are firing off, I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I'm a loser, I'm not lovable, I'm not important, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on. And that's where you get stuck. And then you do the same, because what do we do to undo? This is very Freudian as well, and spiritual. To undo our wounds, we go back to the person that wounds us. Okay, we're not going to go to the nice guy because we don't have a beef with the nice guy. Like, oh, I forgot oh, you poor sweetheart. I'm so sorry you forgot your pastry. Can I help you? Maybe I can pick some up and deliver it over to where are you going? Okay? But you don't have a beef with that. There's nothing to correct. So you go back to the person that wounded you, whether it be a spouse or a boss or a mother or a father, and you play it all over again with the hope and wish that they will do differently. And guess what?
They don't.
They don't.
No.
Okay, so what do we do? So again, you know, what's this book all about? Be the cause, not at the effect of. Because if you're at the effect of, then you're going to be bouncing through these panels and falling into chaos, defenses, and breakdowns. And you're never going to get to panel 7, 8, 9, which is paradigm shift and healing and unity, which we'll cover next.
What do you do? What does MJ do?
So number 1, recognize the wound that she is tearing open. Recognize that she herself is wounded. Why would she do this to her daughter if she was so healthy? So there's something inherently multi-generationally off in her to be playing this out in you, and that has nothing to do with you. So what I like to tell my patients, and I read about this in the book, is observe and don't absorb.
Right.
Because that's what you're doing. You're absorbing it because you want to open your heart. You want to absorb her love, but what's going in there are her critical words. So you're not really connecting with her.
So in the moment I push back, I tell her, I don't want to talk to you anymore because I don't like what I'm hearing. It's abusive. This is exactly what I said to her. And I have to go because it was time for work. But it is important to not to absorb it. And then again, my kid is 6 and now I'm constantly preoccupied with making sure that what he is receiving is the best and, you know, the least toxic and the most loving and the most, like, I'm always worried about long-term impact on him because we're all just walking around saying we're our 6-year-old versions of ourselves. It's almost become like a catchphrase. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean?
So I want to add to that because none of us are perfect. I'm definitely not. I have 2 grown sons. I have 3 grandchildren. I'm totally not perfect with any one of them, including my 2 beautiful dogs. And what I think is the best way to do a cleanup job is to show your children that you can self-correct. So you show them, you self-reflect, you own your own stuff, and then you self-correct. Because it's not about not making mistakes, because then you're going to be a robot. You're going to be like, oh my God, oh my
Right.
God, what if I, oh, what, oh.
But it's also for me as the kids get older and they really understand. You know, I have a 12 and 9-year-old, and
Yeah.
my 12-year-old will, you know, he's very strong, like personality. You know,
Yeah.
he's never really been a little kid. I've always said that. It was like he's
Mhm.
trapped in this kid's body. So,
Yeah.
you know, he understands so much for his age, but we'll get in these wars, you know, these power struggles. And, you know, I'm not perfect. There's been times where he just pushes me to a place that I'm not proud of, but I think the key is going to them and taking accountability and apologizing. And for me, that's so important because number one, it shows him like apologizing is strength. We're all human.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see like the light in his eyes because he's very sensitive. So he feels seen and validated. So I think that goes to what you're saying. Nobody's going to be perfect. But if you
Right.
catch it after, just go and apologize. They're humans. And they need to know that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I haven't done anything. My husband does this thing where he'll make fun of my feet, no big deal, I don't care. It bothers some of my friends when they see it because they get offended on my behalf. And then he'll say, you have to put it in a Queen's accent in your imagination. He'll be like, oh, you have terrible taste in music. So when the 3 of us are in the car and he says my son's playlist is on the radio in the car, if Tommy says you have terrible taste in music to my kid, I lose it. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. Don't say that. Don't say that. That's negative. He doesn't have terrible taste. Just because you don't like his song doesn't mean that it's not a great song. So I'm like actively going and trying to correct what's happening in real time.
And sometimes you lose the spark of life when you do that, because sometimes things are just light and kidding, like, oh, mommy has terrible. Yeah, she does. Daddy, I like, well, but me too. So it becomes a cute, fun thing. So what I want people to understand is that consciousness is causal. Okay, it's a subtle thing. And again, I learned it from Kabbalah. Consciousness, I also learned it from Max Planck.
Explain that in layman's terms.
All right.
Consciousness
That's
is
right.
So
causal.
your intentions are causal. So if I say to my grandson something like, Alexander, you have terrible taste in music, okay? And I'm coming from a tease or an intention to just play along so that he goes, no, I don't, Grandma, look at that stupid song. And then we can laugh about it. I go, yeah, let's listen. Yeah, it is a stupid song. You know, you're right. So if you're playful and your intentions are to play,
Mm-hmm.
you
Then you don't have to be
factor
so
that
worried.
in.
Okay.
Okay?
Good.
Right? But
Yes.
if your intention is to demean, devalue, destroy, you know, those 3 Ds.
Yeah.
Demean, devalue, and destroy, which it sounds like, you know, there's an energy also to the words. If your mother is saying, well, you know, are you taking some weird pills? Like, what is wrong with your memory? Does that sound like a demean or does it sound like a playfulness?
Demean.
Yeah, it's not
Right.
playful.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
Right.
it's the silver lining is that I don't need to be hyper acutely worried that everything is negative because the tone is part of like can be playful.
100%.
Yeah, that's good to
And some people might disagree
acknowledge.
with me, like, no, the words are important. No, that's the consciousness behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, teasing consciousness. So, you know, I grew up in a Hungarian family and people tease each other all the time and nobody walks away crying. They're usually laughing. No. But it might not work in a different culture. So
Is it true that kids don't really understand sarcasm at a young age? Or do they?
I think it requires a certain mental
Yeah.
capacity to understand sarcasm. It requires the ability to hold a logical thought and then something that's illogical and know the play in it
Right.
and the purpose of why these things are being juxtaposed.
Right. That makes sense. So with MJ's mom, does that get more like how
to
it
absorb?
not to absorb? But how do you not absorb that from your own
It's very,
mother?
very difficult because, as I say, childhood is a hostage situation. And I use terms like the double dungeon of darkness. So mom traps you in on one end, but it sounds like your father was the untrapper, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He was more the light. And so you hold in your consciousness the criticism, but also the love and the forgiveness and the tolerance. So then you can bring that into your consciousness. So don't forget you have both DNAs, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, being the cause really means observe what happened down to the source. Maybe your mother grew up in a culture of criticism and demean, devalue, destroy. And then understand that she's projecting her feelings into you, which have nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
So once you distance yourself from it, and I call the brain and logic the coolant. So our emotions are what gets us fired up, but our brains can cool it down like, wait a minute here, she's projecting on me, this is her stuff. I have nothing to do with her injuries. I'm not going to psycho-inherit it. I'm not going to go psycho over it. This doesn't feel good. I'm human. I don't need to hear it. So, Mom, I hope you have a nice day.
So back to your, throughout your life, you were saying you go through your breakdown and then you keep on getting tested,
Oh, yeah.
right? So can we keep going down that road of the different ways that we're tested throughout our lives and how you overcome each time? Because I tend to think that every time that you do endure something hard, that you are being armed with some power from that experience to tell yourself that you can get through something because you've been through something before, and that you should self-soothe yourself with knowing that you've been able to endure in the past.
Right.
But like for whatever is in the air, I can tell that I'm, for various reasons, I can tell that I'm going through this higher level. It could be also macro, what's happening in the world everywhere. Like you said, it is Rosh Hashanah. It is a special time right now today. And personally, I think that there's a lot going on for me. So when you put that all together in your whole world, and we're women, we are mothers, we are working, we want to make a difference, and we want to not just survive, but you want to thrive. Like it's a lot we're carrying. So we go up, we go down, and how do you go through?
Well, it's hard to do, but when the challenges come and they're heavy on us, there's a part, if there's just a small part that can say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. My mind map is a result of such a breakdown. I was on the floor. Okay, so a lot of what I am and who I am is
From a
breakdowns, crying on the floor.
Crying on the floor.
That's why they say what a pleasure. Like when you actually
Yes.
say what a pleasure when
Right.
something dark's happening,
Right.
I feel like it will do something to the brain, because again, it comes back to having certainty. This is for my highest growth. This is, my tikkun, which is what they call like your soul correction. Each lifetime you come in and you have certain corrections from
Right.
other lifetimes that you have to endure.
So you're in that dark moment and you're on the floor and you have to say thank you.
You probably don't. It didn't occur to me then.
Right.
Those
I
are the-
went
that's what they're
totally into
Yeah, I
victim mode. Oh
Mhm.
my God, why me?
Right.
I can't believe it.
Karma, what did I do?
All my
Mhm.
You think and then
my
you're
core
so
beliefs
wrong.
were activated. I'm unlovable. I'll never be enough. I'm not good enough. I'll never be number one. Like it comes up. It's almost like you could see the real, like, oh my God, my reactions. Oh my God, my encodings are floating. Right? And then what makes the difference between being at the effect and being the cause is saying, I'm learning my spiritual lessons. I'm learning my psychological lessons. I'm going to be the cause. Okay, if I'm going through this, you're going through this. You're going through this. It's the world.
Mhm.
So, what gives me the most pleasure is writing and teaching the mind map and teaching the world to heal human and global disconnect.
Boy, do we need that right now.
We really need that.
Yes.
I'm saying it publicly. I'm starting to write my book, Be the Cause Healing Global Disconnect. And I don't even know how to wrap my head around it. Imagine the way the world is right now. We're about to blow up.
Yeah.
And it's sad because we're all mothers here, and we have to understand that we have to do the best that we can to leave our children with the best world possible.
But also, every spiritual healer will tell you what a beautiful time to be alive right now, because
Yes.
we are going through a spiritual awakening. But
Yes.
again, to transform, we have to go through darkness. And the darker it is, the bigger the light on the other side. And
Thank you, Liat.
yeah, like we
Thank
could have
you.
stayed in this stuff and what's happened with these events. I believe that soul came and that was his mission. And look how it's, regardless what your beliefs are, it's caused a spiritual awakening. Like, whoa,
100%.
what is wrong with our world that
100%.
we are murdering someone for having a different belief, even
Yep.
if you don't agree? Where
Yep.
has our human decency come where
Yeah.
we can't have conversation anymore? So
Yeah.
this is a spiritual awakening, and so many are turning back to God and finding that spirituality. And you see even the guy from CNN on the left, he was just saying, oh my God, like I just saw a DM from Charlie saying, hey, like, and they were literally like enemies. And he was like, hey, like, you're a decent guy, I'm a decent guy, come on my show.
Yeah.
Let's talk. And he was in tears seeing that after he passed. So yeah, like, where is that human connection where it's like, it's okay, and again, we were talking this on the last show, like, everybody's living their truth. Most people, whatever side, quote unquote, you're on, think that they are all innately good people. And
They
whatever
do.
they believe, it's my side's good. No, yours, it doesn't matter. You're both living two realities and
Yeah.
they're both good in their minds. And the idea is it's okay to have different beliefs, but let's not let whoever's puppeteering everybody against each other win.
But I want to also add to that, we're not meant to do kumbaya with every ism, okay? We're not. And we have to understand that we're not going to make peace with every human. Do you want to be friends with a person like Jeffrey Dahmer?
No.
No,
I
but
mean,
that's
that's
evil.
very
but it's
extreme,
also
but-
just accepting. Like, it's okay that you have a different view. Like, I have friends, some of us have opposite view. It's okay. It's, I don't know. We got to get back into being able to have a conversation.
Right. Like, do we know why? One of the things that you said was that we start to have self-worth issues once we
Yes.
get beat down.
Yes.
So is that really the root of everyone's trauma, is self-worth?
I think that covers a lot of territory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Because if we don't feel good about ourselves, we're not going to embrace connection and intimacy. We're going to swing in the direction of power and control. So if our world is black and white, power and control versus love and intimacy, the people who are scared are going to pick the power and control. The people who are connected more to the light trust that through love and intimacy and sharing and caring, we're going to get all our needs met.
So when you have a couple that comes in and you do a couples therapy.
Mhm.
Explain to us how your method, because that's what drew me to you, is different than maybe some other couples therapies. You know, what makes you different?
So when a couple comes to me, I'm more interested in the individual childhood wounds of both people involved. And then I have a little talk with them. I say, look, it's not fair that you're not healed to yourself and your spouse and vice versa. So what we're going to do is basically clean you up, take a psychological and spiritual shower. Take a psychological and spiritual shower, meaning work through all of the wounds, reactions, encodings, and chaos defenses and breakdowns. And then also have your spouse listen to your story so they can have more empathy. So that you didn't take out the garbage conversation and argument becomes, are you saying that I'm not good enough? Okay. And it's identified as a negative core belief. And then the spouse could say, oh, no, 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 no. Or the person could say, that's what my parents used to say. And not taking out the garbage represents, and you commenting on it represents that I'm not good enough, instead of you didn't take out the garbage.
So I have an
Which is
example that happened
pH
today.
neutral. Okay, go
I
ahead.
have an
Yeah.
So it's funny because like Trevor and I, like we've done so much work, so we've come a very long way, as Dr. Judy knows. But it was actually kind of funny to me because I know like he gets overwhelmed in like group chats. It's just like too much to him. You know, he either like go like if Trevor ever responds like, "Wow, Trevor responds."
That's a lot.
So sometimes when I'm making plans for the four of us, and if it's a husband and wife, sometimes I won't even put Trevor on the thread because I'm just like, I don't want to inundate. He has so much going on. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So our friends that we had seen last night, I invited them last minute to our Rosh Hashanah dinner tonight. So this morning, I'm like, I'm not going to include Trevor on the text. So I did it to the two of them and me. I was like, hey, can you guys come? Blah, blah, blah. So then like I showed Trevor, I'm like, oh, by the way, like they're coming, look. And instead of him like, and I asked him a question about the text, and instead of him looking at the text, he got so offended that I didn't include. He's like, that's just weird. Why wouldn't you put me on the text? And he's like, I got to go to work. And like, didn't even answer my, and I'm like, but like the new me, I'm like, oh, it's like he feels left out. Left out. So I saw the kid in him because to me, I'm like, this is so dumb. Really? Like, but he felt like even if he doesn't respond, it's like include me because the other husband's included. And now I feel like I'm the odd man out. And that's obviously some sort of, but I was able to see it so quick. It wasn't a fight.
But isn't that beautiful? Because you've done all this work, right? But it goes so deep that it comes up. It's like a blast from the past.
But it just left me in like shock because I was like trying to ask him for advice and it turned into that, you know? So,
but now it turned into light.
Correct.
See, look what you did with it. You took the example instead of saying, oh, my husband, you know, you turned it into a learning lesson for everybody talking to you, listening to you. So you've elevated that particular example.
Yeah. And he, you know, he has so many wounds from childhood. So there's so many little things that I've had. It's really been a learning lesson. But
how often do you have both people participate in the way that you think is ideal when you're doing couples?
Okay, that's a great question. And because I specialize in healing from narcissistic abuse, if you go on my podcast or my YouTube, Dr. Judy WTF, it's a bunch of healing from narcissistic abuse and so on. A lot of times both people won't show up. Or maybe the husband will show up because the wife has given him the ultimatum. Or maybe he's just trying to appease her by doing the therapy. So I don't always get the two people together in therapy. And when I do, it's really a pleasure because I can help break down for both of them what the Freud is going on. Right. And then, so the way I do couples therapy is I might do panel 1, 2, and 3 for one person and then the other, and then I'll bring them together to talk about it.
How often is it the man who initiates therapy for the spouses?
Less often, believe it or not. Sometimes. But less often, I find that the woman is the one, oh my God, why are you calling? Oh, my wife has been watching your YouTube and she says that if I don't call you today, it's over. Well, cheaper than a divorce. Okay.
Have you seen some pretty magical breakthroughs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, the big challenge is breaking through the narcissistic defense, because narcissists don't like to admit, for them to admit self-reflection and self-correction, and I'm using the word admit on purpose, it's because they think it's blame and shame, because they're very delicate. So if you say, Gary, I want you to reflect on that, like, don't, you know, like, why are you looking at me? Why don't you ask her what she did wrong? But you see, the ingrained message is, you're bad, you're shameful, you're wrong.
Is that how people become narcissists?
Yeah, they become narcissists because they have parents that don't nurture them. So back to Dr. John Bowlby, who I'm a big fan of, he's way gone. Attachment theory, eye contact, skin contact, breastfeeding, mirroring, attunement. So if your parents are narcissistic and they don't attune to you, okay, if they're ignoring your feelings, then you learn to hide your feelings. You learn to numb your feelings. You're not interested in feelings. You're not even interested in people. People are transactional. Why are you married? I don't know. I need a cook. I need somebody to raise the kids. I don't know.
Wow, that was
transactional.
But
So,
is narcissistic? Oh, so sometimes it's a personality disorder, but there's a difference, right?
well, personality disorder is the defense mechanism
So
that happens.
So you're saying narcissists can recover?
So rare, but you've got to puncture that, or rather get behind the narcissistic shell. It's hard to do because they'll usually blow out of therapy quickly. Okay, when you're onto their wounds and so on.
Yeah.
Or they know better.
Yeah.
They're smarter than you. They're better than you. But that all points to they don't feel very smart at all. They don't feel very good at all. And sometimes narcissism is a result of a parent allowing the child to be parentified so that they can one-upsmanship on everybody.
Yeah.
So they don't have the parent putting them in their place. That's not good either.
So you said eye contact, skin contact, and what was the other one?
Attunement.
Attunement.
Which is what we're doing. You say something, I tune in to what you're saying, and then I'll respond accordingly. I don't start, if you say, my mother was really nasty to me, I don't say, you know what, my mother was like that too. The other day when so that would be an example of a narcissistic, unattuned way to respond. So I'm grabbing your story, I'm making it about me, and I'm dumping you because now I want to be the center of attention.
Oh.
Not good.
No. But you're listening and then you just deal with a person but you can also share an experience, like we're all sharing experiences in order to relate, of
Yes,
course.
I'm not saying that always is the case. Sometimes you do want to say, oh, my mom did that to me too. And it feels empathic.
Yeah, you're connecting. I think there's a way to do it, but it's also validating the other person's story.
Right.
Where you're connecting with people to, like, by example, and when you went through something, you are sharing that to rescue your...
And then the other thing with the mirroring. So mirroring is really important, especially for babies. If they smile, you smile. If they smile and are engaged with you and you look away, wow. Human disconnect in action. They start wondering, their facial expression changes, they get quiet, they get angry, they might throw an object, pretty soon they're crying, and if you don't respond, they start shutting down and disconnecting. So you can already see the progression.
Wow.
So is that how a narcissist could be made?
Could be, yes. Could be.
Also introvert, extrovert. right? Comfortable
Yes.
kind of expressing yourself versus keeping it in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they've stopped relating to human beings as comfortable and available and connected and nurturing. So it's a plan B. If I can't get you to engage and love me, well, then I'll just use you.
Mm.
Do you have some good sex for me? Sure. Oh, good. You want to buy me dinner? Sure. Good.
Oh, wait, when we were outside, didn't we talk about something that we were going to say that we haven't said yet? It had to do with that using. It had to do with that.
Transactional.
Transactional.
Yeah.
It's a transaction
And-
because the baby's given up. The internal baby's given up. Well, I'm not lovable. They're not capable. They're like my mommy. They're not capable of connecting and loving me. So might as well get something out of them.
That's so interesting.
That's scary.
So
Scary.
Scary.
do you do sessions on Zoom or do you do them just in person?
No, Zoom.
Zoom.
in
And where
person.
can people go to find you if they want to book a session?
psychologicalhealingcenter.com.
Okay. And then any other places that you want them to sign up for?
Yeah, please go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Judy WTF. You can find me on YouTube and you can subscribe to the channel. And then my book you can order off of Amazon.com. And my next book is going to be Kick It, Stop Smoking.
Wow.
Love
And that'll be out in October. And then the book that I have to write before I pass
Retire?
on over to the
Leave
other
her
side is healing human disconnect. Next chapter, healing global disconnect.
Oh, how we need that right now.
We need that, and I'm taking it upon myself, and it's I'm telling you the truth, it's a scary proposition because not everybody's going to like what I have to say.
And that's okay. But remember what you told us and you told MJ, bring it back around with, your playlist is bad or whatever it is. It's the intention behind it. And your intention behind it is to bring people together.
Yes.
So it's okay. You're going to have the people that want to stay. And that's okay.
I'll just share one quick thing. Do we have another minute?
Yeah, you can share before
Don't we
go.
have the 9 things? Did we even do the 9?
Yeah, no,
Yes,
we'll go
we went
through
through.
that, but I just want to
Okay.
share this that
And you can see it on your website too, for all you guys at home.
Totally.
psychologicalhealingcenter.com, and you can
yes.
see the 9 panels and it lists it all beautifully.
And I was recently interviewed by a documentary on Metallica called Metallica Saved My Life. So that's out there. I don't think it's been quite released in every arena. And then another movie called The Love Scripts, producer Paul Hanna. And that's getting out there. So you can look for me there. But mainly psychologicalhealingcenter.com. So,
random question because you're here.
Sure.
How do you feel about the screens and the YouTubes? I mean, we all have our YouTube shows, right? But for your kids, how do you feel about adults even when your people are talking about limiting their time with tech and on their phones? And I also read someone said, if your kid's going to be watching a screen, let it be a TV screen that's mounted to the wall, because if they're not holding the phone, it's less addictive for them.
Well, I have a pet peeve with that.
Okay.
I have grandchildren now, and boy, are they magnetized to that cell phone. It breaks my heart. I say don't even start if you can, or postpone for as long as you can. Don't put that little cell phone in your child's hands for as long as you can. And then teach them that people over things.
People over things.
Yes.
What about my kids' ages where they sit on the phone and they're just in group chats, all communicating on FaceTime, but it's a screen?
Get them together.
Okay.
You can even have a talk with your kids and say, what's more fun? Do you want
They'd rather, but sometimes it's like, it's after school or it's just not possible. But
So make it heavier loaded on get-together
it.
time and lighter loaded on screen time and cell time. and teach them that human connection is the most important element that we're missing on the planet. You know, it's
Love
like where's Waldo? What's missing?
Yeah.
Connection.
I'm so excited for your book.
Thank
I think
you.
it's going to come really easy to you. And I think you're going to just, talk to the creator and say, I am an open vessel. Just bring the light through me and it will write itself.
I'm really
excited for you.
that.
Congrats.
And
dude.
thank you. And it's not yet done, but
Yeah.
I did start it a long time ago. And one other thing that I want to say is that like-minded people need to also be in, what do you call them, pods. We need to support each other.
Yeah.
So if you're a person that likes human connection, then be with people who like human connection.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you're a person that likes principles, be with people who are principled. It's real hard. It's real hard to hold on to the light when you're surrounded by people who are not in the light.
I love that at work, my mentors, leaders, managers, partners are all saying, we're coming into the office. You can do your job alone at home, but now we want people to come back and have that climate of interacting with each other.
Absolutely.
Another thing was the baseball games. There's our school had a movie night back at school, and for a moment we were like, oh, our back, my neck, sitting down on that grass.
Yeah.
No, maybe we don't need to go. And it was like, no, of course we're going. And it's interesting because I went once before and I went back this time, and I was sort of like observing, right? Some of us are just sitting there watching the movie. Some people were running around the whole perimeter of the field.
Yes.
And running wild. And I was kind of overdressed. I had like a hot sweatshirt on. It was still like 88 degrees on Friday night. And so I was like, God, I'm so uncomfortable. And my husband's like, I packed this t-shirt. And I was like, great. I went to the bathroom, changed person just by taking off that heavy hoodie. And then I was like walking and observing. And I was like, you know what? You don't always have to feel like you fit in. You
just said what I've been saying for the last hour. You took the layer off of you that was holding you back. You put a new t-shirt on. You freed yourself. You started observing. You weren't absorbing.
Wow.
And you freed yourself. Thank you so much. And
What
so
a
I'll just
way to bring it all around.
So I'll just go through panel 7, 8, 9. Okay, so what is the
we got to wrap this up. I'm so sorry.
very quickly. Thank goodness I have the map to make it happen.
We got 7, 8,
so
9.
7 is paradigm shift, meaning synergy. My favorite word in the whole wide world. Synergy. Interconnection is synergy. 1 + 1 is greater than 3. So you want to affiliate with people that are going to enhance your light. That's it. Really simple concept. Okay, the other part of that, opposite is vampiring, is when you're with a person who sucks you dry. We don't want that. Okay, so what is panel 8? It's a new DNA. It's a new encoding. So it's evolutionary. You climb up the ladder with like-minded people. You climb up the ladder with evolving souls. And then you reach unity, mind, body, soul. Unity is when it all comes together on the planet, which is what the Be the Cause Healing Global Disconnect goal is, unity.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
We'll have you back because there's so much more to unpack. But
So much.
thank you so much for coming on. And everybody go to psychologicalhealingcenter.com.
I really appreciate it. And
Thank
I
you.
love,
So good to see
I
you.
love these talks.
Us too. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this week's episode of Heal to Feel. You can write in and ask your questions on our show's IG page at H2F Pod, and we'll address your questions on next week's episode. If this episode helped you, we would love for you to share it with your friends and family. Share the fun with all those that can benefit from a good laugh or cry with us. Please rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we would greatly appreciate you.